Ready, Joe?
For what?
Program.
Fratelloni's. Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1344, July 17th, 2024. 99 degrees on this day in 1936, 52 degrees on this day in 1976. I hope the old swimming hole has been kept free of weeds and algae by my people at Aquaside, a White Bear Lake company that's been maintaining Great Lake shores for more than 60 years with a complete line of products. Get rid of weeds and algae and all the crud you don't like. The products are easy to use. They work quickly, and they're registered with the EPA and DNR. Call Aquaside. Go down to the lake or go down to the old pond and tell them what you're looking at and that you don't like it and you want to get rid of it, and they'll get you the right products. Call Aquaside at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquaside.com.
Hail the flashlight king.
Hail you! And now from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Our governor, Tim Walz, was on CNN this morning as a surrogate. He's a, whatever that means. He's speaking for the party.
Oh.
And I watched it, and I had just such overwhelming despondency that it seemed so surreal to me to be consulting this guy about anything. Ongoing frauds, the what we learned yesterday, the out-migration of more of billions of dollars of income. It strikes me as so unreal, and it's forcing me to make a life decision.
You're not getting divorced, are you?
No.
You're heading to Sioux Falls?
It's forcing me to make a life decision. I can't continue to worry about this. The hell with them.
This is one of the things where we could have a good effect, though. I don't think we can stop with him, Joe. Well, everything he says, it's lies and gaslighting, Joe. It's all lies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so surreal to me that's ignored.
Yeah, it's tough.
Now, he'll be in Milwaukee.
He's there today.
For all I know, that's where he was being interviewed on television. It was on CNN. He'll be outside the convention advocating for Joe Biden's reelection. Did you see where the Democrats have rented, 6-7 trucks, all of which have painted on the side, dictator on day one? And all these trucks are lined up apparently near the Pfizer Center. And this is the crowd that's really worried about climate change.
Right.
Well, why did they get 6 or 7 guzzlers?
Didn't even consider that.
Well, it's kind of the same logic.
I don't think these were electric trucks.
It's the same logic that you use, Joe, when you talk about social distancing, but it's okay to burn down a city collectively.
Same logic. You know what it is? I'm just so tired of being governed by children.
Yep.
That's what it amounts to. Walz is a big romper room child.
Help me out. Has Trump or the vice president, have they mentioned recently this week anything about abortion? Is abortion an issue for the Republicans in this campaign?
I have not heard it come up.
Okay, thank you. Because Walz, that was the first thing he wanted to talk about, was the fact that Trump and the whole Republican GOP party wants to shut down abortion.
They're bankrupt for ideas, if that's your talking point.
And then he's going after Vance and his hillbilly elegy book because then this is funny. Walz looking for street cred, says he comes from a town of 424 kids in his graduating class. He knows a little bit about small towns and his dismissive, derogatory approach of how he viewed it, referring to Vance here. But the thing is, and we all know this, especially the people that live in outstate Minnesota, he doesn't care about us. He doesn't care for us, and he makes fun of us.
Well, first of all, Walz probably didn't read the book.
He said he did, but
Well,
yeah,
I don't believe a thing he says. And secondly, the way Walz grew up in a small town would have been entirely Norman Rockwell charming. And the way JD Vance grew up was hard scrabble and tough and very destitute. I am so impressed with Vance. I just think, look what you're getting there. You're getting some youth, 39 years old. You're getting a Marine. You're getting a Yale-educated guy. You're getting a guy who grew up with extraordinary experiences, life experience. You're getting the antithesis of a professional activist. You're getting somebody who has experienced life, taken advantage of everything America offers and made it work for himself. And I'm terribly impressed with him. I don't know how the Democrats are going to go after him. They will. But I really am impressed with the guy. What a solid guy.
Did he flip-flop on Trump? Was it recently or was it a couple of years ago?
Well, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
All right.
And how am I supposed to deal with that? I don't know. I guess I'm just going to deal with it. But he flip-flopped.
You like making the comparison to that Harris was against Biden, but Harris was against Biden during the run-up to the election and the run-up to the primaries, right?
Yeah.
So she flip-flopped at the latest possible date before being chosen.
And
as a
now
VP.
that's an example of a DEI hire. That's a diversity, equity, inclusion hire to go with her.
Well, he even said it. Biden said didn't he say he was going to nominate an African-American woman?
JD Vance is the antithesis of a DEI hire. He's the real deal.
Meaning he's qualified.
He's all I'll say about it is I saw a great cartoon yesterday where it was Trump dressed as Dr. Evil with Vance as a little Dr. Evil saying, "I'll just hire the mini me." that's to me that's kind of he backs Trump's views.
So is that
what are Trump's views? That
Ukraine. How about Ukraine? Perfect. They both have no use for Ukraine. None whatsoever. They want Ukraine to immediately capitulate.
They want to stop spending American dollars in Ukraine.
Fair enough.
What about the Jews? Where are they at on the Jews?
I think they're defenders of the Jews.
Yeah, I haven't seen Vance on the Jews. I know Trump is definitely a defender of the Jews.
Has Vance said or done anything else? How long has he been in? 2 years now?
Yeah.
Has he said done
if that
anything else in the last year or two, John, that sticks out?
His abortion views, which he just scrubbed from his website about 3 days ago.
Yeah.
He got rid of those completely. He's dead 100% against abortion in any incident,
not after
incidents.
After 4 months, 6 months, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, and not rape and incest. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
All right.
There's another way to look at the country right now, even if you take politics out of the view we're about to make. And that is, this country has drifted so far from its moral and ethical center, let's say. It's just drifted a long way away from it. That anything you introduce now that would have been considered normal 50 years ago is considered extreme and outrageous. If Vance or Trump, for example, said we've got to get a handle on Social Security, no one's going to hear that what they probably are attempting to get a handle on is that we can't afford it. We got to figure it out. The only thing people are going to hear is, how dare you take away my money?
Yeah. May I inject this? And I'm no fan of the Democratic Party at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you started that sentence with moral and ethical,
Mm-hmm.
and then you look at the candidate, you don't
I
see
said-
anything weird about that.
I said taking politics out of it.
Oh, okay.
The country has drifted what in whatever setting, the failed academy, the corporate world,
Gotcha, sure.
entertainment. The country has drifted so far from its moral and ethical component that I think you can argue that it did have a strong moral and ethical component, the United States, which is one of the reasons it grew to such greatness and power. It had that component, and that component is very damaged. It's very missing. So anything that would get introduced, for example, if JD Vance would say, I think it's an outrage and it's illegal that Biden wants to pay off college loans, he would be seen as a radical for thinking that.
Sure, by half the people, certainly.
When the fact is, it's illegal for Biden to have done that. It's against the Constitution.
Then let's go back to our original point that we do at least once a week.
Yeah.
How about if we put leaders in charge of the parties and run men for the presidency who have some moral and ethical background, which we are not doing right now? So to me, any argument on either side here it's baseless.
It's hard to disagree with that, John, but we don't have that.
We don't have
unfortunately.
we don't have the power, unfortunately.
As people, as the voters, as the citizens of the United States, we don't have the power, which is ludicrous.
So who's running things?
I have no reason yet, not that I'm going to, well, whatever. I have no reason yet to think JD Vance is not a moral and ethical guy.
Okay, me neither. But how about the guy who's in front of him?
He's
have
got
reason to
moral
believe
and
he's
ethical problems. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen more than one Republican say, and I think I saw these quotes in the Star Tribune. I probably saved it. I don't like him. I'm going to plug my nose and vote for him because I can't tolerate what the Democrats have done to this country. Yeah. Can we go back to Social Security?
Yes.
Because whenever it comes up in the last,
I want to get back to Walz because I wasn't done with Timmy.
Yeah, we're off on a tangent here. Why don't we just go back to Walz?
Well, I was going to say he's there today in Milwaukee. He is going to be alongside others. He's going to be highlighting Trump and Vance's plans on the issues of abortion. Apparently, to the Democrats, it's very important to have abortion available. And all speakers claim Trump and Vance's stands for abortion would include banning it nationwide and would threaten access to IVF and contraception. I doubt that would happen, but Walz spoke out against Vance's selection, calling him a Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
Really? His background, Walz, is so superior to yours, it's not even measurable.
Can I say something about abortion and the Democrats constantly focusing on it? From my perspective, this is sleight of hand. This is pay attention to the bad hand, not the good. It's just a distraction that they're using to fire up their side and get the Republican side arguing among themselves. It's just a made up BS line of campaign.
Well, it's getting the opponent off their feet. It's rocking the balance of the Republican Party if they have to get bogged down in an abortion debate.
And it keeps us from talking about the important issues like this country is going broke. We're so far into debt, the deficit, what we owe. We're not talking about what matters here. We're talking about abortion.
Now, Walz, here's the quote John saw. Walz said, JD Vance is the perfect Frankenstein monster created by the Heritage Foundation. I read Vance's book because I come from a town of 400. Mm-hmm. I had 24 kids in my graduating class. 12 were cousins. Jesus. I know a little bit about small towns and his dismissive, derogatory approach to how he viewed it. That's just not what I remember reading.
Look,
It's not
again, it's the record's one thing, but you're going to see tonight, you're going to see the most extremist person take the stage in JD Vance, trying to tell you that he's a small town guy. I grew up in a town of 400. We didn't go to Yale and become part of Skull and Bones. We went to public schools and became teachers. Things.
Yeah, it served you well. It's not a cultural bias that people had. It's decades of policies against people like him that gutted our small towns. This is Orwellian to me, that this fantasy of Walz that he is making up.
Well, in that audio clip, he made it sound like that's a bad thing.
We're at a real crucial point in a divided culture.
Hold on, Joe. Chris made a good point. The guy went from the hills of, where'd you say, West Virginia?
Yeah.
Right.
A hellhole, awful life, and got himself into Yale, and he's mocking that.
Right.
Wow.
By virtue of the Marine Corps, which Walz conveniently left out.
Wow. Way to turn that around, Walz. My goodness.
But what we're seeing is, if you don't believe in what we say, you're a Frankenstein monster.
Yep.
If you don't go along with us, you're wrong. Both parties can be convicted of that to a certain extent, but I don't think the Republicans can be convicted of it as much as the Mysterians. The Mysterians are dedicated to bringing about a different kind of country.
We're sitting here arguing about who's going to be on the third rail. My God, when they're all just, oh wow!
Everything that's said, pretty much everything that's been said in Milwaukee. Again, there was a time in this country when most of it would have just been normal conversation. Amber Rose. Who is Amber Rose?
I can't believe you're bringing her up.
Well, I'm going to bring her up
and
and tell you why.
Talked about her yesterday.
Well, who is she?
She was married to what's his name, Wiz Khalifa.
Is she one of those aerobic singers where they do the workout while they sing?
I mean, what would you officially call her, Johnny? An influencer? What would you?
Yeah, probably. And she happened to, like you said, she was married to Wiz, and she was Kanye West's girlfriend, and she likes Satanists.
She has a lot of people that follow her.
Yes, she does.
Just to give you a broad explanation of who she is and what she does.
She wasn't put up there for people our age. She was put up there for kids in their 20s who are hip to social media and influencers and all that, and especially to get the black vote, to open up the eyes of black people like you've been trying to do for years, but you're an old fart, so they don't listen to you. The kids listen to people like her. That's why she was put up there.
Are you happy you asked?
And before you go off, I know I'm interrupting, but before you go off, she was in the warm-up of the warm-up of the warm-up act. Okay. She was one of the first, right? Okay. She's not a headlining act at the RNC convention.
I did think, is it Laura Trump or Laura?
I think it's Laura.
I think it's Laura. Yeah.
Boy, I thought she did a fine job. Gave a nice speech. Not hard on the eyes.
Well, so one of the things I was going to mention was, did you guys watch? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Vivek Ramez.
You're on the right track.
Okay.
Yeah, we know who you mean.
His speech I thought was really, really good. And people are poking holes through that. I'm thinking, how can you listen to what he said and what the viewpoint in at least in his eyes is, and find fault with that?
Here, let me give a little test, a little example.
Okay.
50 years ago, if you said abortion on demand, we're going to pay off college debts, we're going to have an army of climate volunteers marching up your driveway to see how you're living, would that have been considered normal? Wouldn't there have been a reaction to that 50 years ago?
Probably.
You would think, yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
All right. 50 years ago, if you said, we got to have a smaller government, we got to get taxes under control, our debt is too large, there should be some limits on abortion, would that have been considered normal 50 years ago? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
So who's
absolutely.
gotten extreme?
Right.
Well,
I maintain it's a hill I'll die on. I maintain, because I was a long-haired lefty hippie. I
Sure.
maintain the Democrats have gone crazy. Now, there's some crazy people with the Republicans. I don't know.
Some.
Well, then we're doomed because we can't find any common ground to agree on.
May I again play devil's advocate as always?
Well,
Do you
that's
think
what you do?
this Republican Party bears any resemblance to Ronald Reagan's Republican Party?
Well, I'll play the whataboutism then. Does this Democratic Party bear any resemblance to the JFK Democratic?
Of course not. But,
Right. We're both right.
I was going to say, but of course not. But are you answering my question?
The answer is no, it does not.
It does not.
Here's the
I
deal.
agree completely.
Whoever speaks at the RNC is going to be considered evil from the left. And then
Right.
when the Democrats have their little party,
Mm-hmm.
same thing is going to come from the right. Everybody
Correct.
that speaks there is
So-
going to be evil. it's the tribalism we keep talking about, Joe.
And we've spent the last 20 minutes basically reiterating stuff we've been saying for for a year at least, if not 2 years or 3 years.
Mhm.
You know. So I guess that's it. It's been a nice show. We'll see you fellas.
Now we got more. We got a
Oh, we got
I've
more.
only
Yeah, I got a
just
lot.
begun.
This world's going to hell, John, and